Republic Act No. 10173, Data Privacy Act of 2012, an act protecting individual personal information in information and communication system in the government and the private sector, creating for this purpose a National Privacy Commission and for other purposes. Chapter 4, Rights of the Data Subject. Section 16, Rights of the Data Subject. The data subject is entitled to A. Be informed whether personal information pertaining to him or her shall be, are being or have been processed. B. Furnish the information indicated hereunder before the entry of his or her personal information into processing system of the Personal Information Controller or at the next practical. Description of the personal information to be entered into the system, purposes for which they are being or are to be processed, scope and method of the personal information processing, the recipients of classes of recipients to whom they are or may be disclosed, methods utilized for automated access if the same is allowed by the data subject and the extent to which such access is authorized, the identity and contact details of the Personal Information Controller or its representative, the period for which the information will be stored, and the existence of their rights to access information correction as well as the right to lodge a complaint before the Commission. Any information supplied or declaration made to the data subject on this matter shall not be amended without prior notification of data subject, provided that the notification under subsection shall not apply should the personal information be needed pursuant to be a subpoena or when the collection and processing are for obvious purposes, including when it necessary for the performance of or in relation to a contract or service or when necessary or desirable in the context of an employer or employee relationship between the collector and the data subject, or when the information is being collected and processed as a result of legal obligation. C. Reasonable access to upon demand the following. 1. Contents of his or her personal information that were processed. 2. Sources from which personal information were obtained. 3. Names and addresses of recipients of the personal information. 4. Manner by which such data were processed. 5. Reasons for the disclosure of the personal information to recipients. 6. Information and automated processes where the data will or likely to be made as the sole basis for any decision significantly affecting or will affect the data subject. Section 17. Transmissibility of rights of the data subject. The lawful heirs and assigns of the data subject may involve the rights of the data subject for which or he or she is an heir or assignee at any time after the death of the data subject or when the data subject is incapacitated or incapable of exercising the rights as enumerated in the immediately preceding section. Section 18. Right of data portability. The data subject shall have the right where personal information is processed by electronic means in a structured and commonly used format to obtain from the Personal Information Controller a copy of data undergoing processing in an electronic or structured format, which is commonly used and allows for further use by the data subject. The Commission may specify the electronic format referred to above as well as the technical standards modalities. Section 19. Non-applicability. The immediately preceding sections are not applicable if the processed personal information are used only for the needs of scientific and statistical research, and on the basis of such no activities are carried out and no decisions are taken regarding the data, provided that the personal information shall be held under strict confidentiality and shall be used only for the declared purpose. Likewise, the immediately preceding sections are applicable to processing of personal information, gathered for the purpose of investigations in relation to any criminal, administrative, or tax liabilities of a data subject. Chapter 5, Security of Personal Information. Section 20, Security of Personal Information. The Personal Information Controller must implement reasonable and appropriate organizational, physical, and technical measures intended for the protection of personal information against any accidental or unlawful destruction, alteration, and disclosure, as well as against any other unlawful processing. Information security involves all measures used to protect any information generated by an entity or individual that is not intended to be made publicly available from compromise, loss of integrity, or unavailability.